Sometimes you want to get away from the hustle and bustle of city life, get lost in a fantasy world of pure imagination. And while the Souls series doesn't have the most welcoming areas, that won't stop you from finding a gorgeous AFK spot to just set the controller down in and relax. I'm Billy S, and today I'm looking at 7 Souls areas you want to AFK in, with the only caveat being that I cannot include hub areas. I've already done multiple videos on that topic. This time, I'm picking spots from actual levels around the various games. And maybe parry that subscribe button. 50,000 subs is my goal, and you can help. Starting us off in Dark Souls, the obvious answer here would be Anor Londo. The glistening golden view that greets us as we fly over the battlements is a moment I won't soon forget in the series. However, the problem is that nothing beats that initial view, which can only be seen via a cutscene. You can't AFK anywhere in the level and get that exact same shot that takes your breath away. I'm looking for very specific locations to set my controller down after all, which is why instead we're going to go from the top of Lordran to the bottom as we walk along the white sandy dunes of Ashe Lake. You can take your pick on where you want to AFK, but my money has always gone to the starting bonfire, hidden behind a small dune that blocks out the rest of the level. Which is fine, because for me, the vista of staring out into the endless watery expanse is what I'm truly here for. Ashe Lake is a land that has been forgotten by time, and beneath its waters lay the remnants of civilizations that came from before, now lost to an inky darkness where the only creatures who remain are predators like the nearby Hydra, ready to devour those who peer too closely. And yet it's that balance between the fear of the unknown as you look out across the lake before you, and the beauty of such an untouched land that strikes you with awe-inspiring admiration that makes Ashe Lake so comforting. Standing near the bonfire, the crackling of the flames in your ear as the slow yet powerful theme of the area plays overhead, one of the only times that music is used outside of a boss encounter in this game, can you blame me for wanting to just stop and take it all in? Something that will become rather evident as the video progresses is that almost every location I have selected features water in some way. I can't explain why I'm drawn to that sweet, sweet agua, aside from it being one of my favourite elements. Or maybe it's my innate desire to be a waterbender. So it should come as no surprise that when I jump to Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, that the area I'd most like to AFK in is the Fountainhead Palace. These divine grounds are home to the various nobles and priests who protect the divine dragon, and we've got a ton of spots to choose from. The stairway leading to the boss, which I featured in my best stairs in Soulsborne video a few weeks ago. The tree branch where you fight Shizu, which becomes a gorgeous overlook of the lake you travelled across. But the simplest answer here is that the initial overlook when you emerge from the fight with the true corrupted monk and you settle down on the cliff to observe the upcoming area is the perfect AFK spot. This is the equivalent of that Anor Londo view in Dark Souls, where you're able to see the entire Fountainhead Palace in one cohesive gaze. You've got the temples just below, tapering off onto a gorgeous waterfall that cascades down into Ashina. You've got the sakura trees adorning the cliffs with pops of pink that help brighten the otherwise dark and peaceful lake. The red of the wooden structures at the back blends in nicely, and then you have the actual mountaintop rising above, a small cloud of fog coating the peaks while clearly illuminating your destination. It's a great spot to strategize your upcoming exploration, or to just watch the waterfall in case you like moving parts in your AFK spots. At the end of the day, nobody can deny that this is the most gorgeous area in Sekiro, and this is the best spot to highlight it all perfectly. Elden Ring is a game full of stunning vistas. Looking out across Leyndell, the royal capital, is like stepping into a painting. Emerging from Senesax's arena on the jagged peak takes your breath away with the foreboding atmosphere. It's only fitting that Elden Ring is going to get 2 entries on today's list, and the first AFK spot has to be when you emerge from your battle with Godric, or you find the hidden path to the side of Stormvale Castle, and you reach the lake facing Cliff's Grace. Walking over to the edge, this is where the scope of the game truly reveals itself, as you can see absolutely everything from here. To the left, the cliffs wrap around until you reach the upper landmass of the Moonlight Altar and its surrounding ruins. To the right, you see the eastern path that leads past Church of Vows, and beyond the Carian Study Hall to the Forest of the Mausoleums. And straight ahead across the foggy lowland lake, you can see the towering white spires of Raya Lucaria rising up in the distance, a torn broken bridge leading off to the right, and the dreaded Mount Gelmir and Altus Plateau towering beyond, while Caria Manor sits just in the back. Elden Ring's vistas are something else, man. I really appreciate the use as well of the minor Erd trees, which give the view a real spot of vibrant gold, and help to orient you as you explore later on. And the fact that everything you can see in this view you can explore is the golden cherry on top of the proverbial cake. AFKing here is, first and foremost, a must just to take in the view. Like, the first look of Limgrave also has a similar feel to it when you emerge, but Liurnia is so much more expansive and vast that it just manages to hit different, you know? But secondly, this is the perfect spot to map out your approach of this new region. You can see almost every major landmark from here, and those that you can't see are enshrouded by the lower lakeland fog, which only further encourages you to stride down and explore for yourself. It does its job perfectly. Dark Souls 3 is a depressing game. A lot of the most striking spots you'll find are places ravaged by time. I think about Gale's arena at the end of the Ringed City, or the start of the Dreagheap where you can see all of the world folding in on itself. There's the end of the High Wall of Lothric, right before you raise the banner to go to the settlement, where you can view all the upcoming areas you'll be exploring, and the big one most people expect is the Irithyll of the Boreal Valley view when you emerge from the catacombs. And that was going to be this entry, until I had a last minute switch up because I wanted to highlight a different area that tickles my personal fancy a tad bit more. The Crucifixion Woods aren't exactly anyone's first thought when it comes to the concept of AFKing. In fact, I'd say they're the opposite, where people want to get through the area as quickly as possible. But I've always found the zone itself to be very aesthetically appealing. You've got the autumnal leafy flooring, with the gnarled roots of nearby trees twisting into the dirt. There are various wooden posts, graves erected across the woodlands, and you have the giant swamp that separates you from the entrance to Farron Keep. And in the middle of this area is the Crucifixion Forest bonfire, my personal AFK spot. This is one of the riskier ones, as you have a lot of enemies nearby, so you either have to kill them first, or sit somewhere where they won't aggro. My favourite spot is here by the cliff, so I can overlook the swamp and the path I walked to get here. I love a forest setting, and a forest that's flooded combines my love of nature with my love of water to create a visual design just for me. Behind, you can see the ruins that lead to the Crystal Sage, which, while not the most beautiful thing to look at, shows this was once a land people lived in. There's history here in the ruins, while nature continues to retake. It reminds me a lot in terms of energy of cityscapes you see in zombie or apocalypse media, where you'll often see nature reclaiming those places we're used to seeing modernized. It's the same approach here, but with a more rustic fantasy feel. And if you get tired of AFKing, you can hop off the cliff and piss off a crab, which is its own beautiful reward. Bloodborne is very different to the rest of From Software's library, especially when it comes to AFK spots, as you're not looking for a traditionally safe or beautiful area when the entire experience is coated in this film of horror. The opening reveal of Yharnam when you step out of the gates of Yosefka's clinic is a striking moment, made all the more powerful by the orange sunset skybox that illuminates Yharnam's skyline with a fiery hue. Stepping out onto the ruined streets of the Hunter's Nightmare and discovering the warped central Yharnam while the skybox depicts a dark, clouded sky while the sun appears distorted in the background is stunning. And yet for me, it's when you emerge from the astral clock tower and take your first steps into the fishing hamlet that makes me want to stop and just take a breath. You hop off the rooftop, landing on a dirt path. The fog is thick in the air. To your left, the haunting sun hangs while ship masts litter the ocean before you. If you dare to look down off the side of the path, you'll see the Hunter's Nightmare below, but I prefer to look ahead to the collapsing, decrepit town, just barely visible through the gloom. Stopping here, you get the calm wash of the ocean water, and the pattering of raindrops on the surface. Nothing appeals to me more than the sound of rain. It is pleasing, it's ASMR, it brings me back to my childhood of spending days indoors with a hot cup of tea, 2 sugars, splash of milk, playing video games while the world is coated in dark, murky greys. To think I can get that exact same experience but while playing Bloodborne. That is more than enough to justify this approach on the list. As well, I could also pick the Orphan of Kor's boss arena or one of the more central locations in the village. I actually think having all the buildings blurred in the distance adds to the atmosphere I'm trying to build for this spot, and that can only work on this path where you first enter. Dark Souls 2 has some of the most visually striking areas in the series. Broom Tower, Shulva Sanctum City, Elium Lois, Shrine of Amana, the Dragon Eyrie, the list could go on. But if there's one area that I truly adore from an aesthetic perspective, one that also kinda hits the same notes I get when resting at Majula, it would be Heide's Tower of Flame. And while I could technically pick anywhere to rest here, I think the best spot is the entryway, as you get a clear view of everything this zone has to offer. You can see the Cathedral of the Blue off to the left. To the very front, you have a large cascading circular temple that rises up from the waves, and to the right you can see the titular Tower of Flame, while gazing down shows you your bonfire for the area. The ocean setting is incredibly rare in Soulsborne. In fact, I can't think of another location that is actively set out in the sea in this series. And what I mean by that is that this isn't like an island or something. These are ruins that have been consumed by time, by the waves themselves. You're walking along history, paths are crumbled, so much of this city is gone, and that sense of history and scale hits so hard. It's a shame the area is so quick in gameplay, because I'd love to stay here longer or experience a version of Heide's that is more grandiose. But there's something melancholic yet enjoyable about this sun-drenched ocean ruin that would change if this map were to be revamped. I like what Archthrones did, where they had the basic Heide's Tower layout but added more to it, while also changing the weather to be stormier. Gives it a unique feel, even if I still prefer the ambiance of the original. And the colour palette, blues, whites and yellows, it all blends together to create a place I'd love to just sit and take in for a while longer. Next to my good buddy Mr. Heide Knight over here, you love me, don't you? You love me. Oh! I said we'd have 2 Elden Ring entries, and as my first was focused on a base game area, the second will be focused on a DLC area. And this is going to be a popular pick, but it is for a reason. There's only one place in the whole of Shadow of the Erdtree that I feel wholly safe when AFKing in. One location that Messmer ensured would never be invaded, destroyed, or ruined. A place so near and dear to his mother that it was hidden behind a statue that required you know her gesture to even access, and 2 tree sentinels were guarding it as well. I am, of course, talking about the Shaman Village. A field of flowers spans across a large hilltop, where several abandoned stone buildings sit, still standing even though they've not been lived in for many years. As you enter, you're greeted by a golden light, the Tree of Marika, a blessing cast upon this little patch of land to ensure it never loses its luster. And further up, you can find a tree with the grandmother, an effigy that the shamans prayed to when they were still alive. For me, I like to sit by Marika's incantation, the mini Erdtree in the field of flowers, for my AFK spot. The rains have ceased, and we have been granted with another beautiful day. But the shamans are not here to see it, as when Marika cast her spell and left, she was the only one remaining in this village. How heartbreaking. And yet the vibes are immaculate, how could they not be? No enemies in sight, the Erdtree has ever been a guide for you, the player, so that golden glow followed by the wind's breeze that blows the flowers to and fro. What more could you ask for from an AFK spot? And that's my list. Did you guys enjoy this video? Let me know down below. If it reaches 200 likes, I'll do a commenter edition. So tell me your favorite AFK spots in the series down below. I want to hear more. A massive shout out to all of my YouTube channel members, you can see them on screen now, thank you so much. You guys are amazing, it's $4.99, you get early access to future videos, you get a shout out in the description at the end of videos as well, and you get access to multiple special Let's Plays. Dark Souls 2 Soul Level 1, Dark Souls 3 Soul Level 1, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment playthrough. It's a good time to be a Billy S member. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I have a Blue Sky, I have a Discord, I have a Twitch, and I stream on YouTube multiple times a week. You can also check out a previous video down below, or you can just click that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Adios.